room was silent except for the faint ticking of the antique clock on the wall. Alexander Mercer, the CEO of one of the city's most successful corporations, sat alone in his towering penthouse, staring blankly at the untouched Christmas tree in the corner. Outside, snow fell softly over the city, painting the streets with fleeting moments of joy he no longer felt. This Christmas, like every Christmas before it, he would spend in solitude, his heart barricaded behind walls of betrayal, regret, and a grief that never fully faded. He ran his hand over the envelope that had arrived that morning. Another reminder that even success could not shield him from loss. It was from Emily, the woman he had once loved more than life itself, now gone, with a life he could no longer be a part of. The sting of betrayal was sharp, but deeper still was the numb emptiness that had settled into him, making him a stranger to the joy he once knew. As he gazed at the city lights through the floor-to-ceiling windows, a single thought haunted him. Maybe I am destined to spend the rest of my life alone. And then, a soft knock at the door broke the silence. A knock that would shatter the ice around his heart in ways he could never have imagined. Alexander Mercer had always been a man of logic. Numbers, strategies, and profits made sense, emotions, less so. But that winter, emotions had become unbearable. Each day felt like wading through invisible fog, the weight of past betrayals pressing him to the ground. His office, filled with accolades and awards, now felt like a mausoleum of dreams that no longer mattered. That evening, as he sat with a glass of untouched scotch, he felt an unfamiliar tug at the door. He grumbled under his breath. Visitors were rare, and certainly at this hour, unwelcome. Yet curiosity nudged him to open it. There stood a woman, her clothes worn and threadbare, holding the hand of a little girl no more than 6. The child's eyes were wide with innocence, framed by soft, fair skin that seemed almost luminous in the dim hallway light. "Sir, we need help," the woman said, her voice trembling. Alexander wanted to shut the door. He wanted to retreat into his familiar fortress of pain. But something in the child's gaze, a mixture of hope and fear, kept him rooted. For reasons he couldn't yet articulate, he found himself stepping aside. They came inside. The mother, her name was Clarissa, spoke of cold nights and empty bellies, of a world that had turned its back on them. Alexander listened, silent at first, his mind a whirlwind of excuses. "I can't help them. I am not equipped. I have nothing to give." Yet the little girl, Emma, reached out with a tiny hand, her fingers brushing against his. "Are you lonely too?" she asked softly. The simplicity of her question, so pure, so unguarded, cut through his walls like sunlight through frost. That night, Alexander felt the first stirrings of something he hadn't felt in years, the ache of connection, the warmth of presence. Denial still lingered. He told himself he was doing a charity act, not opening his heart. But in the quiet moments, he realized the truth. He had been alone for so long because he was afraid. Afraid of trust, afraid of pain, afraid of being hurt again. For the first time, he allowed a sliver of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this Christmas would be different. The days that followed were a blur of quiet conversations and small acts of care. Alexander found himself buying groceries, helping Clarissa find warm clothes, and, in his rare moments of solitude, watching Emma play in the snow outside his penthouse window. Yet with every step he took toward connection, his heart whispered doubts. He remembered Emily, her laughter, her promises, her betrayal. He remembered nights spent planning futures that would never come. The pain surged anew, mingled with guilt. Why did I let myself care? Why do I still let people in? One evening, while Emma slept, Clarissa confided in him. "I know it's hard to trust," she said, her voice weary but kind. "But the heart grows stronger when it's willing to feel again, even after being broken." Her words lingered. Alexander found himself reflecting on years of choices, of missed opportunities for love and forgiveness. He realized that his isolation had been self-imposed, a shield against vulnerability, but also a prison that had stolen the simple joys of life. He began to allow small joys, shared laughter over hot cocoa, the delight of a child discovering the magic of snow, the quiet pride of helping someone rise above adversity. Yet at night, the pain returned. Loneliness was a ghost that visited relentlessly, whispering fears of failure and rejection. And in those long nights, Alexander began to understand that healing was not a destination, it was a journey. A journey that required confronting grief, embracing discomfort, and daring to hope again. Christmas morning arrived, and Alexander woke to the sound of laughter echoing through his penthouse. Emma had decorated the tree herself, scattering ornaments and tinsel in a chaotic, beautiful display. Clarissa smiled, her gratitude evident, but it was Emma's joy that stirred something deep within him. He found himself sitting by the tree, the snow falling gently outside, and realized that he was no longer alone, not in the way that truly mattered. The walls around his heart had begun to crumble, replaced by warmth he had thought lost forever. In the weeks that followed, Alexander's world shifted. He opened his home to those in need, not as a duty, but as a choice born from love. He reconnected with estranged friends, offered guidance to struggling employees, and most importantly, allowed himself to feel fully pain, joy, hope, and gratitude. One evening, as he watched Emma fall asleep in Clarissa's arms, he whispered a silent prayer of thanks. Life had not been easy, and wounds remained, but he had discovered a truth more profound than any success or wealth. Love, in its simplest and most genuine form, could melt even the most frozen heart. That Christmas, Alexander Mercer realized he had been given the greatest gift, not gold, not accolades, but the gift of connection, healing, and the courage to open his heart once more. Moral of the story: true healing begins when we allow ourselves to feel, to trust, and to love again, even after betrayal and loss. The heart grows strongest not in isolation, but through connection, compassion, and the courage to embrace vulnerability.